AI is going to absolutely cook our society, and it's not for the reasons you think, but Nietzsche warned us about this and we didn't listen. So I've been wanting to make this video for a while, only because, for those of you who don't know, I've been an AI researcher and a data scientist for the past 5-6 years. I actually wrote a paper talking about how AI actually produces its outputs and how it's actually going to affect us with regards to our thinking, how we come to our conclusions. It's not clickbait when I say that Nietzsche warned us about this, because he warned us about what's called the last man. The idea that the last man essentially abandons intellectual and spiritual struggle and seeks comfort above all else. Now, the reason this is related to AI is because what I've seen more than anything, and you'll see this if you go over social media, if you look at, universities nowadays, and even when you're looking at debates, almost everyone outsources their thinking to AI. Everyone outsources their writing to AI, and people are even outsourcing their paradigm thinking to AI. And what I mean by that is they get their understanding about spirituality, history, and all these other things from AI. Now, I'm not going back this from the angle of AI is going to take our jobs or anything like that, because there's plenty of jobs that you can get whereby AI is never going to replace it. But where AI is absolutely replacing almost every human, and especially those growing up in the age of AI. I'm talking about 5 to 7 year olds right now who have been growing up with ChatGPT and AI, Gemini, all these different things, as well as scrolling on social media since they were toddlers, using it as a pacifier. What's going to happen is they're going to understand the entire framework of how the world works, how to come up with ideas, how to produce text, how to think from AI alone. Now, why is this so dangerous? If we look at yesteryear, or if we look at other periods of history, we had great thinkers, we had great writers, and one of the reasons we had these great thinkers and writers is because they were able to sit on a sustained thought for a long period of time. Now, by that I mean, let's say for example, they witness something that takes place in the world, or they ponder over some sort of moral dilemma. They sit there, they think about it, and they write about it. Now, why is writing so important? Writing is important because it forces you to focus on a particular idea, and the same thing with reading. It forces you to focus on a particular idea and see the thing through. So you can't just skip to the end. You can't just skip to the conclusion. You have to think through it. You have to be able to articulate yourself. And then by the time you've been able to read and write about something, then you can now talk about it. Now, I know there are some people who have higher verbal intelligence than they do, let's say for example, with written intelligence or their ability to read. However, in all of these things, what we're seeing is that when people start to outsource their thinking to these bots, they stop thinking for themselves. They start not wanting to understand anything with regards to spiritual, mental, psychological, or just philosophical struggle. The reason I think this is such an issue nowadays is because AI is essentially replacing the human soul for most people. Now, we've seen this with social media, as with brain rot and endless scrolling and all these different things, but AI is an absolutely next level integration of this, or next level iteration of this. Now, when I say this, I mean literally, when you look at, let's say, Twitter, for example, if somebody wants to verify something, they just say @AskGrok, right? And rather than being able to search something up, being able to actually delineate between what's a good source, what's a bad source, and come to an understanding of something using your own faculties, they're outsourcing it completely to these bots. Now, the thing about these bots, and I wrote about this as well, is that then they're being seen as these ultimate thinkers because they can pull together all kinds of information. But the fact of the matter is, these bots can't actually think. All they do is use statistical probabilities to come up with what's most likely is going to be the next word in a particular sentence, given the question and given the rest of the words that it's already put together. Now, if you want to know exactly how this works, I am going to link the paper that I contributed to whilst I worked at Google in the link below, or in the description below. But you have to understand that AIs are not able to actually think. They're not able to produce something novel that is outside of the context that it already has. Now, why is this so important? In my opinion, this is what differentiates the human mind from the AI mind, because AI has no experiential knowledge. It's just based on what it's got in its text, what it's got in its context. And when you have that kind of trust in such a system, you end up literally replacing your own faculties for this machine. And then at the end of it, your own ability to come up with thoughts and generate ideas becomes greatly diminished. Now, this might not be such a massive issue for people who are born after, let's say, early 2000s, maybe 2002. But what's happening right now, and it's the same thing with social media, is that people are spending so much time producing their ideas and their thoughts from AIs and even from social media, but to a greater extent AI, that they're not going to be able to think anymore. If you ask the average 20-year-old right now to write you an essay, all they want to do is get the right answer or be able to produce a text that sounds coherent. But the point of reading and the point of writing an essay isn't just to get the right answer. It's to be able to think critically through different points of view and to be able to articulate that to somebody such that you can show your ability to understand different areas and different mindsets, let's say, from different types of people. And anybody who's written psychology essays or sociology essays from back in the day, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. The thing with these AIs, and this is the other thing, they're not just producing objective facts. What's happening is whenever the text is produced by the AI, it goes through what are called guardrails. And those guardrails are predetermined by the engineers and the HR from these companies, so that it feeds you answers based on the ideologies of the people who own these products. Now, if you want to test this out, you can use two different AIs. One, use ChatGPT, Grok, or Gemini, or any of those, or Claude, whatever you want. And then on the other, use DeepSeek. Now, in both of those, I want you to ask it a politically incorrect question of any kind, and you'll see how different the answers that you get from both of those AI is going to be. And then I want you to ask it the opposite question. So for example, if you ask it something politically incorrect from the left side, then do the same thing for the right, and you'll see how those answers, or the type of answer that you get, immediately flips. Now, the point that I'm making with all of this is going to be used for the world's greatest psyop. And I mean this with no exaggeration. It will be the world's greatest psyop when these kids right now that are growing up with technology, with iPads, with phones from when they're 5, 4, 3 years old, as they're growing up, as they start to learn how to integrate with the world, and as we see today already, AI is being massively integrated into our everyday lives and it's becoming a necessity to understand how to use. When people stop using it as a tool and start using it as their second brain, you'll see how everybody is going to be aligned to a specific worldview. You're going to see how everybody's going to be aligned to thinking about certain topics and ideas in a particular way. And the reason will be because the people who create these AIs are going to feed these results. And because of how we've understood these AIs, or how the general public understands these AIs to be more capable of thinking than the average human, you will see within the next 20 years, and maybe even less, maybe 10 to 15 years, you will see how detrimental this is going to be to society, whether it's with regards to spirituality, philosophy, or how people think about knowledge, and also with regards to people's political views. I guarantee you, the next fight on the political front and on the spiritual front is going to be with AI. Because we've never seen a power quite like this before. And like I said before, AI isn't actually able to think. But because the masses have been deluded into believing that it can think, you have a mass trust in these systems. And that's actually the biggest risk from AI. It's nothing to do with your jobs. It's nothing to do with these data centers and how much energy they're using, or water, or any of these things. It's about the fact that people are outsourcing their thinking into these systems. I'm not saying using AI is a bad thing altogether, but you need to at least be aware of the risks and aware of how you're using AI as to whether it's a tool or whether it's something that you use to completely subvert your own thinking. Now, I'm going to be making another video with regards to how you can overcome some of these things, how to use AI as a tool, and also how to think through the problems and situations you have in your life so that you can actually get the life that you want. That's going to be my next video. My name is Machiavellison, and thank you so much for watching my video. Stay tuned, subscribe, and yeah, we'll be back soon.